Yeah, I honestly don't know. I've been yeah. I mean, Caleb tried to explain to me a little bit last time. I don't fully get it, but I guess nothing that I could control on my end.
Nope. Is Jay frozen?
Oh, he is.
Ooh.
He might come back. He's probably gonna come back.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Jay. Mossad got his ass.
Were you able to find the season number or no?
He didn't say. I want to say season 5, and given you guys a break, you're probably season 6 at this point.
Okay. All right. So let me just introduce this. That's probably where I'm gonna start the cut when I upload it. So. All right. So welcome to Contra Gentiles, season 6, episode 1, with no Grant, unfortunately. But we might get him back on here.
Bring him back.
But yeah, this is the first time. Yeah, this is the first time we're recording, I guess, for over a year now. But this should be a fun episode. I'm back. At least I am. The show is going to be back, and we'll see how many guests we could get on for the next few weeks before we could convince Grant to come back.
Yeah.
All right. So today we're going to have Caleb and Jay, and I guess that there's a few topics I kind of wanted to talk about. The one more specifically just towards the podcast, I want to head off that. Finally, after a while, there's many reasons why I waited. One of them, I was just looking around in Alaska, and Alaska just didn't have much in terms of lawyers or anything. But I finally did submit the lawsuit against little Natty Hertz and the newspaper, the local newspapers and everything. And so that's pretty fun. I got a call from the lawyer.
What's the Jewish population in Alaska? Because that's going to explain the law situation.
Yes. Well, the problem is that there's no lawyers here that want to do it. I probably ended up calling about 40 lawyers. Nobody even wants to hear the case. And apparently when I looked into it, there wasn't that many cases in Alaska, period. And the only people that do it in Alaska normally bring a lawyer from out of state. And so I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it myself, And so, yeah, I did all the paperwork. I submitted it, and it's I talked to their lawyer. It was pretty interesting. I probably can't go into the details, but I'm pretty excited about it, and I think it's going to go pretty well for me.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Prayers up.
Can the fucking
yeah.
We'll give you a work glimpse in how Zay talks to women when he talks to his dog. It's a quick glimpse.
The difference is I don't spit on my dog.
That's a good thing then. A little more respect for them. Oh man, so I guess I want to. Yeah, I talked to Caleb last week on his podcast. How about you, Jay? What the fuck have you been doing the past year? I haven't heard. I haven't really spoken to you for a while.
Yeah. Time is a blur. Like they say, after 25, like that's just when you really enter adulthood, where every day is just the same as the last, and time just goes by in a blink. So you got to realize how long I've actually spoken to you. The last time I talked to you, you had a broken arm from. Yeah. Thankfully, it can move again.
So it's all good.
That healed up like February 2024. I got the clear to start going to the gym again. So
okay. So where the fuck did you break it at? Did you break it on the elbow, or did you actually break it?
Smashed.
Where else?
Like right through here. Oh, there's the puppy.
Right there.
Yeah. Fuck you, bitch. Come here. Stand and look at the fuck. Yeah. So like right here's where the barbell just came down like a fucking hammer and smashed. I don't know. I still don't know how, but literally just smashed it. Grant thought the bone exploded. It just, I didn't even feel it. So when people came over to help me, because I was trying to push the barbell up, my arm was just like spasming because the humerus was just poking a different way. So I just walked and was like, I think you broke your arm. I'm there in a daze. I'm like, huh. I'm just looking at a piece going the completely wrong way when I try to move.
Cool.
Yeah.
That dominated like a good chunk of the life. Just my life has been completely fucking unremarkable for the last year. Just an absolute slog, to be honest. But we ball. We ball.
You know, Jay, it wouldn't
Yeah.
be such a slog if you started RCIA.
Yeah, that would still be a slog actually, because those are classes.
But it's a slog building to something greater.
Still a slog though.
And you're trying to go to law school, okay? You can't complain about classes, okay?
Yeah, but that's gonna pay me at least. Like at the end of the day.
Jay's going to be a deathbed convert, all right? He's
know this.
betting on that. He's not going to die instantly.
The running gag has been the priest is going to get stuck in traffic on the way to the hospital.
I'm Ernst Younger maxing. This is completely viable. I'm sure my time in purgatory will be uncountable.
Oh yes,
But-
yeah. Me too. So it's fine. It's fine. You know, we'll have fun there, right? We're gonna make purgatory into a party now.
It's just the fact that it's fucking classes that makes it so
Yeah.
fucking. And then the classes have that strict starting time of like August because they need to get you to Easter, and then it's just like, wow, this really just fucks me over every year. And then August rolls around, and then I'm like, I missed it again, and that's how like 4 years passes by. Like it has gotten so bad that in the meantime, since we last spoke, you've turned white, Jeremy. Last time I saw you,
I turned white.
You look white now.
It might be the light, but also I got even more grays. You know, so the more grays I get, the lighter I look.
Your skin has like more white, like has more peach to it now. So I have missed so many RCAA cycles. You have turned white in the meantime.
That's good to hear. You know, that's what Nat Hertz really wants to put on there. You know, just to make me more of a white supremacist. But yeah, I guess if anybody, nobody listened to Caleb's podcast, one of the I guess more eventful things that happened since I stopped talking, and that was pretty rough. You know, like I broke 6 ribs. I broke my clavicle. And it was pretty funny because, you know, after I got into that accident, I mean, for one thing, I like you're flying in the air, right? And so once you go there and you're flying in the air, you kind of thinking to yourself, oh shit, I might die. And it's instant, right? And then you hit the pavement and you hit and all that, and you literally hear the bones crack was kind of surreal to me. Because, you know, I've never broken bones like that. And so I never knew that you could audibly hear all the bones cracking when it happens with that much impact, because I was going about 45.
Oh,
and
does this sound like wet? Does it sound wet, that sort of impact and that sort of crack, like squish crack?
No, for me it was just like it's crunch. It's like if you could probably take a celery stick and just like crunch it really hard. That's what it sounded like. And
I can go
yeah.
Fucking disgusting, perverted bastard.
Or a carrot, whatever. Just something with a loud crunch. And then I just started walking, you know, because I was like, fuck, I gotta go to the hospital. I just started walking and I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty bad. And for some reason I lost my voice. I don't know how that happened. And yeah, that was rough. When I went to the hospital, I think the doctor didn't think it was that bad. Well, at least the ER nurse and everything. I just walked up there and be like, I just been into an accident. I believe I broke my ribs. And the only reason why I went there is I wanted to know whether I pierced an organ. Because in reality, there's not much you could do with a broken ribs. It's like, it's just going to heal. And, you know, you got to try not to break it worse, right? And so there's nothing that they could do for me. But I just wanted to know if I have internal bleeding, you know, if one of my ribs punctured something. Because if that's the case, well, then, you know, I guess maybe there's something they could do for me there. But, you know, I walked in and they were just being like annoying as fuck to give me a wheelchair. And I was like, no, I'm just going to stand. All right. Just let me walk, because if I sit down, that's going to compress all those muscles a little more. It's going to hurt worse. So just let me walk. And then they kept trying to push fucking drugs on me. It's like, oh, do you want this? Do you want that? I was like, no, I want to be conscious. I want to be aware of what's happening. I really don't need any drugs right now. And then there was, you wanted concussion? I was like, I had a helmet on. I'm fine. All I really want to know is, do I have internal bleeding or organs? And these fuckers just kept trying to push so many things on me, to the point that I'm just going to walk out if you just don't. I just want to, can you scan? You know, just all I want to know is, do I have fucking internal bleeding? That's all I really want to know, because everything else is going to take time to heal. And so yeah, and then they tried to give me a sling. I never wore it. And then I came back to work. I took one day off, and then I went back to work and started making pizzas again. And so yeah, and
You would fit right in
and
my family.
yeah,
That's how
but yeah,
all the women are in my family. Not my dad. My dad gets those man colds where he's just dead in bed for like a week. But the women,
Was he? Yeah.
They could break the fucking necks and be in work the next day. They can't sit still for more than a day.
Yeah. The one good thing was that I was reading, and the doctor also told me, is that if you stay active, your ribs actually move back into place, because it isn't like a cast on there, and all the muscles basically just put the ribs back into place. And so at least I have nothing protruding outside of my body, which is pretty good. But
You did have some nasty looking road rash, I gotta say, on your arm. It
Oh,
was
yes, yeah.
disgusting.
chunks of flesh just like peeled off. It's kind of a scar there, but at least it looks a little more normal now. But yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Oh,
And then you would think,
that's how you got whiter. The asphalt tore some of the black off your DNA.
Only 15% black now, not a quarter. You can't do the hard R anymore. You gotta put the A at the end of it.
Or
Yeah.
you go harder at the end of it. Just go harder. It's really
Go harder.
Go harder. The harder R. It's where you drag it. You gotta roll. You gotta roll it. You gotta roll like it's Spanish.
oh my gosh.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's what I gotta start
That's
doing
next
now.
level racism. We're going multicultural.
Well, us fucking Latinos, we take racism to the next level all the time. So it would be fitting. It would
It's so
definitely be
funny.
fitting.
It's so funny. I think somebody made a tweet the other day that there is no place on earth more racist than the little chat box on an illegal sports stream. And go to like Roku Direct and watch a soccer game on there. Yeah, it's a fucking carnage in there.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. Well, if you go there live, fuck. Yeah, we do take racism to the next level. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
As it should be, as it should be.
yeah. As it should be. I'm
Starting
very
to
proud of
realize that.
and
That's one of the
doing.
things that I've really noticed. Yes, yeah, oh, yeah. No, but I have noticed that since Trump's win was how quickly the culture in the mainstream has honestly been changing that way.
The vibe
And
shift is
you
real.
still got the crazies. You still got the crazies that, yes, but the shift is like very dramatic. Yeah, and it's quite interesting because I think the going idea that many conservatives always had was the Breitbart's idea
Culture is
that
downstream from
politics
is downstream from culture. Yeah.
Right, but I think what this presidency have shown really, I guess it kind of is, but it takes a long ass time to make it there. But once the politics change, the culture is really downstream from the politics.
Yeah.
To the point that nobody wants to associate themselves with anything that's either woke or anything that's.
Oh, did you see Gavin Newsom's interview with Charlie Cook? Did you see that?
I did. Yes. Yeah.
It like
Yeah, I
Gavin
definitely
Newsom
watched
was
that
just,
one.
he was just trying to get the playbook for how he's going to run his campaign when he went for president. He's like, okay, what do I need to say to look more mainstream conservative? What's the playbook? It was very
Yeah,
it all
so just
felt so fake.
mainstream.
It all felt
Yes,
so
yeah.
American Psycho. I have to deliver some videotapes. It was just
Yes, yeah.
insane. Oh, we lost Jay again.
Yeah, we lost Jay, but hopefully he comes back. But yeah, I think it's just because whether it's mainstream right or mainstream left, it really has changed that dramatically
Mhm.
to really be, that much of a pussy anymore.
Yeah.
Let me add him back. Okay, good.
He's back.
Yeah. So yeah, I find all of that pretty awesome. And so it's like there's people and that I'm encountering or whatever, especially if they do find out about the article written about me, and just ordinary people now just find it funny, as opposed to ordinary people before found it a bit scandalous and they want to kind of stay away from it a little bit.
It really does show that normies and regular people are closer to philosophical zombies than we care to admit they are.
They are.
They're just gonna go with the flow, and as long as we get good guys in power, they're gonna just go with the flow. And that's
Yeah.
great. It's a good thing to know, but also it's like, oh, so we go extreme left wing. These are going to be the people who turn you in, like now,
Yeah,
now Stalin. Now
We've
Stalin.
noted they change their opinions overnight. You literally
Yeah.
see it like one news broadcast, and suddenly 20 million people have changed their opinion without a second thought. So it's literally as simple as who is in power. Because, like, you know, as a guy dating in his mid-20s, 4 years ago, I could not imagine seeing as many girls in MAGA hats as in 2024 and 2025. It has
Right.
been a complete shift of, like, you go through a dating app and every other profile is a girl that loves Trump. But that wasn't there for like the 8 years before
Yeah.
that.
I'm not getting that in Central Florida, Zay. I'm not getting that here
Yeah.
yet. I might need to move again.
Yeah,
That sounds
you
pretty
might
great.
need to. The problem with your move was that you went the Shut the fuck up! You went the polar opposite and went to Alaska.
I'm just imagining a chick now, but it was some woman that keeps talking. Shut the fuck up!
What are
Hey
you
Jay, do you
barking
want a
at?
sandwich? I really fucking ate.
It's not that far off. It's not that far off. There was one time I was in Brooklyn with my
man.
sister, my niece, my brother-in-law, and I was just listening. I was in a restaurant waiting for my food, and there was just these two women talking, and it was the most painful conversation I've ever heard. Like, imagine listening to Red Scare in real life, but just talking about like work and SSRIs with the exact same focal fry. Oh. Ugh.
That is disgusting.
I love women, but I fucking hate women. Like, good fucking lord, man. You are the. Ugh.
I do find it more acceptable if they're not trying to sound smart. You know, just talk
Yes.
about clothes, shoes, or whatever. I could deal without her hairstyles.
Yeah, when they're
That's
talking about
fine.
work- when they're talking about
Yes, yeah.
work, I don't want to hear you talk about work. That's perverted. I'd rather hear.
I have-
I would rather hear them
I have-
like a guy's
I have-
dick size.
I have told every woman who's tried to complain about her job to me, I've said, you shouldn't be working in the first place. I'm not going to hear you complain. You shouldn't be working. So I'm not going to listen to this.
Yeah, it's a, they make life hell for themselves, and then they expect us to feel bad for it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't like working either, yet here we are. Why would you look at that and be like, wow, my man works 6 days a week, 10 hours a day to put food on the table. I want to do the same fucking thing. Go fuck yourself.
It's
Like,
insanity. It really is.
like-
Ever since I was a kid, I was unable to see that insanity. I was like, why would you want to do that? You know, I saw my mom like staying at home and everything. It was like, just stay home. Let the husband, you know, let the father work fucking 14 hours a day. I think my dad worked like 14 hours a day. It was fine, you know, but yeah, I do not understand. I would never understand the desire for a female wife. It's like, you should just be getting certain things, make the house comfortable, cook the fucking food, do the laundry, do all that, take care of the kids. And if you don't have a guy, just fucking work towards finding one. Really, that really should just be what they're doing. Just work towards finding a dude. So if that means you have to hit the gym, if that means you have to diet, if that means whatever, then fucking do it. But you shouldn't be working towards a fucking career.
They really should be hitting the gym, but at the same time, I go to the gym and I see just the shit that women are wearing in there. I'm like,
No, the carry on Zay's point why he's currently frozen.
my internet's
back.
shitting the bed today. But yeah, the way they dress, dude. Like it's gotten worse in the last few months. Like, yeah, on one hand, I'm not complaining because I'm a fucking dog, but on the other hand, it's like,
Yeah.
I cannot be looking at your camel toe right now because I'm in gym shorts. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, there should be a female gym, really. It should, I mean,
Yes.
gyms should be segregated.
Yes.
But as long as we have tranny shit, you can't have that.
No, they just gotta go, man. This
They-
fucking
they-
the tranny shit just needs to be illegal.
It's for real. I'm sick of it's so obvious to us sitting here, but it's like to everybody else. Like, why are you partaking in a guy's porn fantasy? Why are you
I know,
really
yeah.
engaging this?
It is.
It's so
fucking
ridiculous,
disgusting.
and yeah. No, there needs to be some kind of purification
Every-
from culture from all that shit.
There's not a whole
Like
lot in
it-
Polk County, thankfully. but there's like a few who
Yeah.
work at gas stations, and when I go inside and
yeah.
see them, I'm enraged. Like, how dare you assault my senses on this beautiful Sunday with your hideous perversion of a woman? Shut the fuck up and kill yourself or something already. Come on. Just don't assault me with this ugliness. When I left church to go to racetrack, and the tranny's like, "You want to buy cigarettes from this tranny?" I'm like, "Just kill yourself, please. Stop assaulting me with your ugliness. I can't handle it."
Dude, I was in the gym the other day, and there's this flaming fucking fag. Like, what? Latinos get faggy. They get really faggy.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
it's
yes,
so
yeah.
disgusting. And he was
The same
there,
with that
like,
with their masculine, they're super machismo.
yeah.
But yeah,
And he was there. He was in like this tank top, just like this super short. The whole time he was like constantly near me. I'm going to fill up my water bottle, and then he's there in front of me, and I see I got painted nails, and he put his water bottle down to get it filled up. I was just holding it the whole time. I was just like, no, I don't want to touch wherever the fuck you've touched. I'm gonna get AIDS from this.
Dudes, the dudes who paint, I've seen more and more dudes paint their nails. It's so
oh shit, really?
awful. It's just, you see it, you're like, someone to cut your finger off. You shouldn't be allowed to have them now. You ruined it.
It
Yes,
doesn't look good.
It
It just
just-
never looked good.
No, it
that looks
never
fucking
looks good.
retarded, man.
It's so retarded.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
I
that
don't-
feels
I
good
can't
again,
miss-
right? Like we could socially say words like retarded now, just out in the open.
Oh, yeah.
I've always
yeah,
said it
right.
anyways. It's fine,
Yeah.
but nobody actually looks at me funny anymore. Like the last few years of the Biden era, people still looked at me kind of funny if I said that's retarded. I even called when I talked to the lawyer, I even said that his arguments were retarded, and so we can do that again, and it's socially acceptable and it's beautiful. You know, we got to bring faggot back. You know, just
Oh, yeah.
telling people
This was,
quit being a fag.
I can't remember who tweeted this out, but it was on whole JD Vance calling that put this guy a dummy on Maine on Twitter. And someone's like, "We said retard, so Vance could say dummy. We say fag if we can call this guy gay." It's like, we're building up to it.
We are. It's
I
like
love
4
number
years of this
48.
is going to be amazing.
Mhm.
We just got to keep pushing the envelope, right? You know, keep
Yes.
pushing it, and then it's going to get to the point that we really want it to be.
Well, we claim in the
Because
N-word
we're not
days,
quite
okay,
back
we're
to the
figuring it out.
90s yet. The 90s was still a little more out there in the open saying these kind of things, but you know, I think we're going to get there. Hopefully we could push past it. We got to get back to
Well-
like the pre I guess civil rights era. You know, we got to get to the point that we could
civil rights
really
era has
openly
to
make
be
fun
repealed.
of it.
Jeremy getting
Civil
himself
rights
in
have to
trouble
be
again
repealed entirely.
just by speaking the truth.
Yes.
No, but it's
Well, yeah,
fucking
it's-
true. It's so fucking true. Like, pre-civil rights era, there's still like no fault divorce and shit, but it was still significantly better than whatever the fuck we're dealing with now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Civil rights was such a good idea. You needed the military to put black kids into white schools, and then how did that go?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I can tell you how
I'm
it
The
brought
deified MLK, who was just a fucking loser. And
he
I
was
will
such a
always
loser.
stick by that. MLK is such a fucking loser.
He is.
He did nothing.
If you
got
want
shot.
to,
He
If
had
they
to
want a
rape to get
civil-
pussy. He didn't rape for the love of the game. He did it to get pussy.
if they want a civil rights
Yes,
leader,
okay, fine.
if they want
Yeah.
a civil rights leader, Malcolm X is the way to go. He's way cooler than
Of
Martin
course, he was
Luther
way
King.
better. He was way better. And it just MLK is just I hate how much he's deified. It's like fuck that guy. Honestly, fuck everything about him. His speech sucked. His dream
Like
is
statues and
stupid. Nobody
You were
wants to
Unitarian?
live that way.
Mr. Abbey in England.
Yeah.
That's actual saints. It's so fucking crazy.
Ugh. Hold on, what, they made him a
Yeah.
saint? Who made him a saint?
The Anglican Church.
The
Quote,
Anglican
unquote,
Church canonized a
Like,
Unitarian.
really? That's amazing.
They didn't canonize
Wow.
it. It's just that it's the fact that they put him there. Like they just made a bunch of modern saints basically, and he was one of the
Ugh.
statues that are there. But it's in the fucking Abbey, like the biggest church in England, is Martin Luther King Jr. and they'll be there like next to literally every saint from as long as there's
That's
been
that's
Christians in England.
retarded. That's honestly retarded, man.
It's
Yeah.
St. Thomas
That
More
has to go.
dying for this shit. He's like, no, I'm not gonna go politics. I'm gonna die. Fuck it,
Today
I'm
we-
dying for this.
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
the day we have a Christian ISIS going through and smashing statues of Martin Luther King Jr. is the day we win.
We have to aim the Puritans at the Anglicans somehow. You got to aim the Puritans.
Yeah, somebody has to lead the way to just that narrative has to go. It seems like the Hitler narrative is finally kicking in more properly.
Yeah,
It still needs a little more
really
uptick.
taking charge of that one.
Listen, the AI Hitler speeches have done wonders for bringing back the Hitler narrative.
Oh, it has.
I mean,
It
those
has,
Hitler
yes,
memes have been incredible.
Everybody listens to it like, oh, he was just a rational man trying to get rid of liberalism. Okay, I get behind that.
I think anybody that's had to spend like more than 15 minutes in a room with a Jew could really understand where Hitler was coming from anyway.
I spent 5 minutes. I spent 5 minutes with some Hasidic Down syndrome Jew in Canada. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah, nope.
Down syndrome Hasidic sounds terrible,
dude. It was either Down syndrome or heavily inbred. I could not tell.
There's not,
but it was
with the Hasidic community. That's very good chance.
I talked to them like, so where you guys from? Like Manhattan. I'm like, of course.
There's not that many here in Alaska, but there was one that me and my daughters, we were at Target. He was a cashier, and we ran, and we got him as a cashier. And both of my daughters, my teenage daughters, looked at me and they're like, "What's wrong with that guy?" And the one thing I said, "He's a Jew. It's fine." Because he looked kind of inbred. He was an Hasidic Jew, so he had that inbred look. He was just like off the wall dorky to the point that it was just unbearable for more than 5 seconds. And both of my daughters were looking at each other as this guy was talking. It was like, yeah, he's just a Jew. So they were like, oh, I kind of get your jokes about them now. It's like, yeah.
So real quick, Dan, I got to say, real quick, I haven't told you I was up there, but when so Grant and I took your daughters home from church one time, and the first thing they said to me when we got in the car, "You're from Florida, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Is Chick-fil-A as good as everyone says it is?" They just started quizzing me on Chick-fil-A the entire drive. Like, what do you get at Chick-fil-A? Like the chicken sandwich. Like, is it good? Is it better than churches? I'm like, yeah, it's better than churches. It's the Lord's chicken. And they kept asking me Chick-fil-A questions for like the entire drive.
That is awesome.
So funny to me.
Well, they saw a fat motherfucker and they're like, well, he knows.
They were right. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Those fast food burger tests online when they put a picture of a burger up and you can like try to guess where it's from?
Yeah,
I've never
did.
I'm just like that guy. Every single one, I'm like, yep, know it, I got it. It's like, oh, fuck.
He also, Jeremy, just pulls out little shooters of liquor from his pants at lunch. He just has them on.
Does he really?
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah. Because so Bulge, Bogo Calls Behemoth, like he was in the chat.
Yeah,
Brazilian guy. So he was up here in America last week. He was in Florida for a few days. So Caleb came down from Bartow. I drove up from Miami to Fort Lauderdale, which is only like 40 minutes. And we got lunch, and our guy came from Naples, and I taken him to the sports bar. Oh. And so Bulge is Brazilian. He doesn't have an American ID, but he also didn't bring his passport, so he had his Brazilian IDs on him. But his accent is immaculately American. So the waitress didn't believe him and thought the Brazilian IDs were fake because he didn't have his passport on him. So she didn't get him his fucking beer. So Caleb just reaches into his pants and pulls out a shooter of Tito's. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
The best.
Listen, man, I am an Eagle Scout, okay? The motto was be prepared, okay? I'm always prepared.
You were prepared.
Always prepared with alcohol.
You were prepared.
Because of that, Bo didn't have to sit there while we were drinking. I had 3 margaritas, and he was able to have 1 vodka and Coke. I kept the party going.
Do you think did Bulge think the entire laws here about drinking was ridiculous or anything?
Not really, because that was the only time he got carded. Because I got lunch with him at the same place like 3 days before that. He didn't get carded. We went to a cigar lounge after that. He didn't get carded.
Okay, yeah.
But
probably Florida's a lot more free than here in that way.
Oh yeah.
Alaska's horrible with alcohol laws.
He was confused about how we pay. Like that the waiter doesn't just bring you a scanner for your card. They'll take the card and take it to the back of the cashier. He was confused by that.
Was it?
Yeah, spoiled
Damn.
Brazilian. Useless country. Should be nuked. Destroy it.
Assimilated. Annex is, I think, be better, but
Annex. It's full of blacks.
well, annex in a purge, okay?
Annex and a. All right. Well, yeah, that's actually all South American history.
So true.
Every South American war leads like a Chinese civil war. So somebody took this one country, and then 20 million people died.
I mean, the South Americans did have the 3-day football war. I mean, we talked about that when we
They
were
did.
up there. It's
They did.
insane.
They also had war where like 90% of the Paraguayan civilization was wiped out because they decided to attack 3 countries that were all larger than them.
I'm saying, man, Spain never stood left. They just maintained control over all of it. The conquistadors.
They should have. They should have. But the Spanish are cucks and pussies. So
They are now, sadly, but they weren't always.
Well, now they are. Now they are, but yes.
now they had their chance of redemption under Franco, but then even he cunked out by
They
putting
did.
who he did on the throne.
Yeah, that's
absolute
true.
cuck fest.
Yeah. Listen, man, they got hit hard by the Reconquista. They have not fully recovered from that nonsense. Okay, I mean, listen, you have so many Muslims in the country for a while, you're gonna get some weird problems. I will say, I found out Twitter Muslims tweet about Al-Andalus and the Iberian Peninsula the same way we tweet about Constantinople becoming Turkey, becoming Istanbul. We have the same kind of like, we're gonna take it back one day, boys. Like they tweet about taking back the Iberian Peninsula, we'll tweet about taking back Istanbul. I think that's a very fun dynamic. That's a very fun dynamic.
I don't know. I don't have fun dynamics with Muslims. I just don't like them.
I mean, fair enough. They're fun to make fun of.
They are fun to make fun of. They're a pain
Mohammedans.
to fucking talk to.
I have never had a serious conversation with a Mohammedan. I can't imagine how it would go.
If you try to explain the Trinity to them, their head will explode, and they just really get stuck on the idea that God is one, and they will not hear anything else.
Right.
I mean, I've tried to. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's similar, but I've had a Trinitarian conversation with a Black Unitarian. I can imagine it's kind of similar.
It is, but it's even more annoying because then they'll just throw like Arabic words at you. Because their brain, they're like Mexicans that lived in America for 30 years. They just can't comprehend not using a single Arabic word.
Yeah, I've only dealt with Mohammedans in grad school, but they all were atheists. And so
Much more tolerable
Yeah,
than some atheists.
they are, yeah, especially from Iran. Those guys,
Oh yeah,
the ones that I've seen, that I've met were pretty cool, actually.
Persians
They almost
are-
act
Persians are
Italian,
smarter
to be
than
honest.
Arabs.
Yes, yeah.
It's a deserved sense
Yeah,
of
they have-
superiority they have.
But yeah, other than that, I don't think I've spoken to too many Mohammedans. I've just like read a lot of their shit, but never encountered them. But recently, I did read a little bit about the rabbinic Jews, and one I never knew about them is that they don't really view the devil as an evil entity. Apparently, they view him as more of a trickster that is used by God to test people and everything, which I found interesting. I was like, wow, that's kind of bizarre. But I'm assuming it's because they don't really have an entire theology of damnation, and so because they don't have that, there's not much, I guess,
That
there for
and
them.
because like the devil doesn't come up that much as a figure in the Old Testament. You can really count
Right,
how many
yeah.
times it does. You know, in the garden and then the book of Job, and every time that
Right.
the devil pops up in the Old Testament, it's testing people's faith. So it's not really
Yeah,
until
yeah.
you get New Testament where it's different. So yeah, the rabbinic Jews don't really look at Satan as like this figure damned in hell for trying to rebel against God. They view it very much like through the book of Job, where Satan is testing Job's resolve, which explains a lot of how Jews behave.
It's almost like he's God's buddy who God just like puts there whenever he wants to test somebody.
Yeah, they
It
just
seems
make
like that's how they were talking about it. Yes, yeah. And they after they just observe, maybe eat some popcorn together. And it's like, oh, let's see what this guy's gonna do now.
Yeah, not exactly the same. The same Lucifer that fell like lightning. Not exactly the same thing. But it is very interesting. Like when you study that, you see that Jewish theology did not have damnation until like several hundred years after living with Christians.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And even then, it doesn't seem, at least from what I encountered, it doesn't seem that fleshed out. It seems like it's a bit shallow, and really they only put it in the context of themselves, because other things I encountered researching a little bit of rabbinicism is that they also believe, all the laws are just for them. And so if you're not a Jew, you don't really have to abide by any of those laws. And so it isn't as if you don't abide by those laws, it doesn't mean that therefore you're damned. It's really only the Jews who have that. But then it's the more, and maybe you would know better than me, but the more I tried to research, I was like, yeah, but what do the Jews think happens to the Gentiles then, if they don't think they're damned? But I can't find any fucking answer. It's like, the only thing I can find an answer is like,
it's because they just don't they don't talk about that. Like, you can go through all the basic Talmud, which is a fucking terrible task. Like that, look, legal fan fiction of rabbis arguing with dead rabbis and pretending to have a conversation. It's like it's like taking Dante's Inferno and just making it worse. Like, you're still fan fiction, talking to dead people, but now the dead people are all just old Jewish rabbi lawyers that you're arguing with, and then no, you're totally the right one. If you go through it, it's like you're not going to see any discussion of what happens to a Gentile if they die. They just don't discuss that. Like, I guess they're all assuming going under like the Noahide laws. Like, as long as they didn't violate that, then you're fine. But it really all comes back to beg the question of like, but then why would anybody be Jewish?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Because it's not a proselytizing religion. It doesn't have a fleshed out idea of heaven or hell. Nobody knows what happens to Gentiles. It fucking sucks. Because at least Mohammedans have an idea of Gehenna and heaven. So
exactly right. Yeah.
Muslim, you're gonna be damned. What do the Jews have? Because
I know, right?
Money.
I cannot tell you. Is it eternal damnation? Is it not eternal damnation? Do the non-Jews go there? Do Jews go there?
I couldn't find anything concrete about it. And they're Unitarians, just like the Mohammedans. There's just something very lacking in like rabbinicism. Like, there's no appeal to it at all. Not even really intellectually. There's no appeal to it emotionally. There's no appeal to it in terms really of its practices. Nobody's like killing goats or anything like that. At least make it interesting. There's really there. And the more that I read about it, the more that I just wonder, like, why. I don't even know why rabbinicism came to be at all. It seemed like the text in the Talmud took about 500 years to complete. And so they're not really that coherent, right? I guess they are in terms of its laws and everything, but they're not. There's almost nothing there. Like you were saying, it's kind of painful to read because it is like reading a bunch of Jewish lawyers writing shit down, and I don't really understand why it exists the way that it does, or really why it exists at all. If your temple was destroyed and you believe that you can't practice your faith outside of the temple, then what are you really preserving? That's really, I guess, my question to them. It's like, I don't understand. So you have this temple, you could only do your sacrifices to God in that temple. You don't have that anymore. And you're preserving the idea that maybe someday it's going to come back. That's what it seems like to me. It's like this hope that this.
Their hope is that it will come back with the Messiah. And it's just so strange because it's like it's coherent as an internal system, but it makes no sense once you open up that system and you actually look at it from any outside standpoint. And you look at the things that they argue about, the minutia that they argue about, and it's just so strange. Like, the only explanation you really have is that it was just a political divide because the Sadducees were a political class.
Yeah.
And they allied with the Romans, obviously, because they got to continue ruling.
Yeah.
So the Pharisees are just this counter class that developed, especially in exile. Like, I would say that's where most of it comes from. Because when you actually look at the historical record of it, the mass exile didn't happen. Like, the Babylonians didn't take an entire country and shove them into Babylon, but they took the most key figures from Judea and Israel and took them to Babylon, such as the scribes, the priests.
The more I look into and study and try to learn about, because I'm trying to get Gideon Lazar on in a few months because he did a debate recently with a rabbi about not a rabbi, some Jewish apologist about the proper interpretation of Daniel 3. It's very interesting. If I'm trying to get him on for a explain to me like I'm 5 Jewish apologetics. You know, like I'm just kind of curious what the arguments they make, what are the typical responses. But the more I look into the Jewish religion, the more I'm convinced this is just fake. This is made up shit. Just try to argue with Christians to justify their existence.
Yeah,
it doesn't actually seem like a real religion.
That's all it is. Because
no, I know. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm. That's probably what I'm trying to articulate. Yeah, there just seems to be something so incomplete and something just you're longing for something. The more you research it and the more you research is like the less you really know. Almost, it's almost like reading. Like a lot, like in philosophy, I would say that's pretty similar to that. As a lot of French postmodernists is like they could write, and then you read all of that, and then in the end, after reading, you'd be like, yeah, but you didn't really say anything. You know, use a lot of words, and there's a lot in there. There's a lot of text, and then the people bicker about the like inconsequential details of what they're talking about. But then if you push further, like, but what are you actually saying? There's nothing really there. There's no substance to the assertions. And it seems like the more that I read about rabbinicism, especially from apologists, it's like the less that they're saying, you know, because like when I research Mohammedanism, they make a lot of strong claims. And the strong claims are not really hidden, right? And so you could actually argue against them. It's like you know what they think. It really isn't that mysterious. It's just you know exactly what they think. But with the rabbinics, you don't really know what they think. It's so many things that they say are so open-ended that I believe a lot of the reasons why there are even more interpretations of rabbinicism than there are even of like Protestant Christianity is because there really isn't any solid statements of their faith that you could really press on besides the reality of God, besides like some of the fundamentals that most religions have. Other than that, all of the details and minutiae just seems open-ended.
Well, yeah, to your point
anyways,
on that, it reminded me of the the Disputation of Barcelona, which was a church council between Dominicans and Dominicans and Jewish clergy. And after like 2 years of arguing, the Dominicans like, hey, we're going to switch to writing because you guys keep changing your definitions and keep making points that don't mean anything. So we're going to switch to writing. So you write out your argument and we'll write back the argument. And so they switched to just write in the same room. One guy write a letter, they send it across the room, and he respond to, and they send it back across. And that's how they had to argue. And to your point, it does seem like it's kind of like the rabbinic style of argumentation. It's just to say a bunch of stuff, not really make any final point, and try to just confuse your opponent.
Yeah. If you listen to a rabbi give a sermon, that is exactly what happens. Like they get to nothing. It is 15-20 minutes of your life if they're quick, gone, where nothing of value has been said. It's only maybe vaguely, slightly related to a chapter from the Old Testament, and so nothing else. Yeah. And then maybe the point comes out to you're Jewish because you have to be a good person, or like.
I actually did hear a rabbi give a sermon once, Jay. My Protestant pastor invited a rabbi to give a guest sermon one Sunday, and he wrote it up in the robes and everything, and did the opening prayer, and I want to say some Hebrew or something. It was very weird. And then he gave like a 45-minute sermon, and I remember thinking, "What the hell is going on?" It was so weird.
They just talk nonsense. Because where I was going with it before my internet crapped out was that. This rabbinic class just starts in the intellectual exile into Babylon and then comes back because they had no way of, doing the things that they needed to do with the temple because they were out.
Yeah.
And so they just develop as like this way of practicing Judaism without the temple, and then they continue in this political trend, and then it just makes no sense for it to continue because it's so antithetical to what is quite literally in there of you need the priests to be doing certain rituals, or it's all for naught.
Yeah.
The Passover sacrifice makes no sense as eating a dinner around the table. The New Year sacrifice or the Yom Kippur sacrifice, none of these make any sense as just like going to a synagogue and making a prayer and reading from the Torah, when there's quite literally a whole thing of you have to bring this bull and this lamb and do this and do that, and then the priest goes into the Ark of the Covenant, and it's like you're not doing the same thing. You're in this, like, you brought up postmodernism. It's literally just a simulacra of what was done in ancient Judea and Israel. Of people just with no understanding of how or why this came to be, why these rules were put there, just ape what they think they did based off their reading of the Old Testament, and it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, they will actually think in the same way that, like, Protestants think that Jesus is the Bible, or that the Bible is Jesus. Jews will, number one, treat a Torah scroll as like a sacred icon, and then number two, they'll also act like if you read the relevant portion of like whatever holiday you're celebrating on that holiday, then it's like doing the sacrifice. And it's like, no, you're
weird.
Reading. You're reading. This is not the sacrifice. You're not bringing a bowl into the great temple. You're reading a section of the Bible. Insane.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a question for you, Zay.
Yeah.
What? Maybe you have the answer to this. What the hell was going on with people talking about red heifers in Israel? Does anyone know what red heifers refer to? Because I keep hearing my crazy Protestants bring up red heifers.
In the Old Testament, it is a certain kind of bull that was, or certain type of cow that was sacrificed. It was literally a red heifer, but it was supposed to only be for the great temple. So there's not supposed to be any red heifers without the temple. So signifying that there will be a red heifer born. So that's what it was. That they were born in those times specifically for sacrifice in the great temple. So if a red heifer is born, that means you're in the end times because the great temple is going to be rebuilt, which is the most insane dispensationalist view.
That is wild.
Because Christ is the third temple. You don't need a new one.
Like, what do you?
It's fulfilled.
Yes, yeah.
It's fulfilled. At least I understand when the Jews talk about it, because they're like, yes, our Messiah is going to come and he's going to rebuild the great temple. What the fuck do we call it? I don't even fucking remember. But the great temple is going to be rebuilt, and then the Mashiach is going to come and he's going to do it for us, and then there's going to be a big war or something. Nobody really knows anything about this because it's not actually in the Torah. It's not in the 5 books of the Bible. It's not in Judges. It's not in Psalms. It's not in Proverbs. But somehow.
I can't remember. There was some famous rabbi who died, and he wrote the name of the Messiah on a piece of paper.
Yes, yeah.
What's the story here?
It was just Jesus.
Just Jesus.
It was just Jesus. I don't remember the guy's name, but yeah.
And so
feel like
and
end times.
I was actually shocked also in my research how many people claim to be the Messiah in in the last years. I'm actually shocked within the Jewish faith. I mean, there's been so many. I don't even know what the number is, but there have been a lot, and there've been some that actually grew in some popularities in the early 1900s, late 1800s. But there's been so many Jews claiming to be the Messiah, and that I found surprising. I was not expecting. I see so many things about cults, so many things about everything, but nobody talks about these Jews who all follow a certain person. Because they think he's the Messiah, and then he ends up dying, and then things get dissolved or pass on or whatever. There's been so many different sects.
There was a recent one, and then people on Twitter were like, "I don't think the Messiah is going to be wearing glasses." It's just like a 5'4" Jewish guy with like a dysgenic gut and glasses and a massively receding hairline, and then they're like, yes, they're talking about the new Messiah was born in Israel, and here he is, and he's
an inbred-looking motherfucker.
Yeah, and he just looks like every inbred Jew from Crown Heights, and it's like, yes, my Messiah. But the weirdest one, the craziest one. So this is a subsect of the Hasidic community, and this is the Lubavitch Chabad community. And they follow the Rebbe Mendel Schneerson. Because it's like this line.
Oh, I heard of this one. Yep, this is one of the ones I read.
Yeah. So Schneerson, he didn't call himself the Messiah, but a lot of people called him the Messiah. And it's to the point that I've actually heard Lubavitchers say he's not dead. He's studying Torah underground, waiting to come back. And I was just like, what the and I was like, I was a 15-year-old at the time. This was one of the things that like put me into an atheist phase. Because I'm hearing that on one end, and then on the other end, I'm having teachers, like this was my last year in Jewish school when I was 15. I have teachers on the other end telling me that if you are not an 100% observant religious Jew, then you're not Jewish. And I was like, well, I like not keeping kosher. So I just heard that, and I hear the other thing, but the Lubavitcher Rebbe's not dead. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm not Jewish.
We got to get one of these. we have to get one of these guys that think he's still alive underground talking to like a Protestant dispensationalist guy from Georgia. I need to see that kind of conversation. That would be
there would be zero difference between them at this point.
It'd be so much fun. What is kosher anyway? Say, what does kosher mean exactly?
It's literally just the way, like. So I was talking about this with Bulge because, like, the first two books of the Pentateuch are really fun, and then everything after that is a slog until you get to the end of Numbers, where it starts to pick up again. Because at the end of the Numbers, like, Moses just has the earth eat a guy. It's so strange. It's like one of the priests wants to rebel, so Moses is like, all right, I cast earth fucking eats you. The kosher, it's just this prescription of how to prepare your food in the Old Testament. And that's where things were like, you're not going to cook the calf in its mother's milk comes from, and it has to be slaughtered a certain way, and the fish has to have easily removable scales, and the animal has to have split hooves and chew its cud. And so those are the guidelines. Like, that's just what kosher means, that it follows the biblical guidelines of how to prepare the food and how to slaughter it. It's fucking useless.
And that's similar with halal for the Muzzies.
Yeah, it is increasingly so. I think halal is slightly less strict. Where halal can use something as the kosher label because it's stricter, so they use it, but Jews can't use something as a halal label because it does not necessarily make
kosher,
okay. But yeah, I think Muslims can mix meat and cheese.
Oh, they can. Okay. I don't know all of the rules for halal, but I know a lot how they prepare and how they butcher the animal. That's like a huge part of the about how they prepare the food and everything.
Oh yeah, meat and cheese can be halal. So yeah, Muslims can have a cheeseburger, but it's got to be slaughtered.
Like the Jews can't. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jews cannot. No, because the cooking a calf in its mother's milk thing. Which also, going back to rabbinicism, this is where they get fucking crazy. So, the insight and how they think is so strange, where they're like super preventative, where they are the people that say, can angels dance? How many angels can dance on the head of a pin? Where it's like, no, you can't mix chicken with cheese because then somebody might see it with meat and cheese, and then it's like, but they might think then that meat and cheese is kosher, and then they can't. Then they're going to go and sin, and they're going to do that. So you can't have a chicken parmesan, even though chickens don't produce milk. So by the letter of the law, you can you can't boil a chicken in its mother's milk because chickens don't produce milk. It's crazy. It's just fucking crazy. It is fucking insane.
Yeah, that if I was born in that world, that would be one of the things that would just drive me away. Is the kosher part of the food, because it just seems, and I get it, I don't know. It seemed as if prior years, not years, but I guess during the ancient times, a lot of it probably made sense just in terms of preservation. That if you do mix certain things when you are preserving them in a certain way, it might get contaminated and you might get sick. Like, I could get that. But I often wonder if that played more of a role with it than what the rabbinics do now. It seems as if explanations of kosher laws really that we know now is more due to the Talmud and the rabbinics than it is the ancient Jews. It seems to me maybe the ancient Jews had a little more common sense in terms of not fucking around with the food to the point that it could make you sick. But I could be wrong. Again, I would have to research it more. But it seems like most of the reasoning in our modern day about kosher laws comes from the rabbinics, not so much the ancients. But yeah, if we were still doing that now, to me, just as a kid, it would just be a huge turnoff. It's like, you know,
it was for me as well.
Yeah.
Especially because I was not born into a kosher household. Like go get non-kosher food after school, even though I was going to a Jewish school. Like I just did not keep kosher. And it was not until my sister came home one day and made, like, Caleb has heard the story 1,000 times, but it was that I was maybe 5 years old. My sister was 13, and she, like, the religious school had just got into her, and she snapped, and she wanted everything kosher. And what that means also is, like, installing 2 sinks, because you can't mix the plates for the dairy and the meat, or the cutlery, or the
really?
mugs.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can't even mix the plates?
No.
You gotta have 2 sinks.
Yeah, Jews will have 2 sinks, and they'll have 2 sets of plates and 2 sets of knives and 2 sets of forks, not like whole collection. Like they'll split the kitchen into 2 basically. They'll have a counter for meat, a counter for dairy. They'll have a cabinet for meat, a cabinet for dairy. It's neuroticism. It's neurotic.
Okay, so I'm in the Daily Wire Plus saying next time Ben Shapiro does one of his lives, I'm going to send a commenting. What sink does he wash your hands in? What sink do you wash? Just keep asking. How many sinks do you have, Ben? How many sinks?
I've never written on things. One day maybe I should just write it. You know, that should be fun. I'm Dr. Diogenes on the Daily Wire thing as well, but I've never written anything to them. I just like to listen to it without commercials, man. I cannot.
Well,
I can't
got
deal
it
with it.
because I'm tired of Michael Knowles teasing his Mimbo Segmentum, or whatever he calls it. With the extra,
it is always pretty damn good. I do like his members.
The Theology Thursdays are fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, I like
Shapiro, I don't
Michael
really listen to that often. I think the only 2 people I listen to there is Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh. And I know there's some people that really hate Matt Walsh.
I listen to Ben Shapiro about once a month just to remind myself, because growing up, he was my Sean Hannity, he was my Bill O'Reilly. That was the guy I listened to every day.
Right, yeah.
So now that where I'm at now, I listen to him like once a month just to kind of go, okay, how far have I come? What is he saying? I don't know, hearing the argument and then responding to him as I listen to it, it's just like, okay, good. Yeah. I'm not stupid. He is stupid.
Yes.
I
mean, he's been, and maybe it's justifiable because he is a Jew, but he's been so obsessed about the war in Israel that so many of his episodes cover it for way too long. It's like I don't want to. I just don't really care that much. I mean,
I'm not supposed to be anything Benny Boy says really about Israel.
It's just one of those things that I honestly don't have that strong of opinion about the war in general. Like there are getting mad about the the kids dying over in Palestine, which I get. So yeah, that part does suck. But also then Jew says, well, that's the cost of war. I was like, I guess it kind of is. You know, when war happens, a lot of shit does happen. It's not justifiable, but it does happen. And it just seems like their bickering is so nonsensical to me that I just think at the end of the day, somebody should just take it over again. You know, whether it's the Brits, just own
Holy
that
Father
area
John.
again, whether it's the U.S.
Listen, the Holy Father John after Pope Francis, will call the next crusade.
It's just a trash versus garbage war.
I just think that we should take it over again. It's like it's done. Yeah,
Isn't that what Trump kind of
stop the nation of Israel. That thing doesn't really matter. I guess so. Yeah, that's what I just think it needs to happen. It's like this dispute is dumb. Just stop. You know, just let the Jews, migrate around Europe again, take away their country, take over the entire Palestine area, just tear down that wall that's there, and just own it.
110.
Make it Christian again.
110 is a nice round number. Okay. That's a
and
great-
Yes.
tear down that stupid garbage wall in Jerusalem. That was literally like a
Yes.
nothing wall. And then one day in the 1800s, a bunch of Jews started pretending it was holy. And so there's just this fucking
Yes.
wall that's it's stupidity. Fucking
It is,
stupidity.
yes.
Now presidents have to go kiss it and shit. Because it was like covered in garbage for 1,000 years. Nobody cared about it. It's fucking just
Yes,
trash.
it's all
War. I
dumb.
hope they both lose. I don't care how many kids die. I just don't.
Yes, I'm to the point that just either just let happen what happens, but let's just. I'm done even just pretending to even care. It's like, no, the Christians should just, that's our land. Just give it back to the church. We need to own it. We need to run it. That's where Christ was born, and it's ours. People just stop.
Where are the Christians in
Yeah.
this? Like, why are so many Western Christians just seeing it as like, oh no, it's Muslim ground, and no, it's Jewish ground? What the fuck are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Because they don't have covenant theology. They don't have any form of covenant. There's no divinic
Yeah.
monarchy. Christ is not fulfilled, and he's saying he just came, he died, and he left, and we have to just wait the end days. That's all we're doing. This one, we're just waiting. It's very similar to the Jews waiting around for the temple to be built. They're kind of just waiting for
Yeah.
Christ to come back. And that's it. And the real extreme one, they're like, we can't even decide if we're saved or not. Christ decided that. We're just gonna wait to see what happens.
The really
Yeah.
extreme ones are like, no, I can't defend my wife because Jesus is my defense. So if somebody attacks her, then I'm just gonna stand around and watch.
What a cuckolded asshole! What a faggot! That guy should be shot. Jesus.
God is my
I won't-
guardian. I
won't defend my wife if she's getting raped. If you're that pathetic, just kill yourself. Fuck.
When he pays off Caleb, the degrees are what a cuck. He's gonna get raped. We're gonna kill him. Kill yourself.
Those are the 3 degrees I have. It's like rape, cuckold, rape, kill yourself. Those are my three.
We're gonna rape you and we're gonna fucking kill you. Kill
Oh, dang.
yourself. So Caleb talks like the JD Vance meme. We're gonna fucking kill you.
No, I feel the same way about the whole Ukraine thing. I mean, so many
yeah.
conservatives are like crying about it. I was like, dude, if Russia is stronger, just stop giving Ukraine money and just let things happen. So just let things happen, really.
Russia
I hate-
is a third Rome. Let him take it.
Yeah, it's just
But I hate how we act like that suddenly invading a country is the greatest crime you could ever commit, short of the Holocaust.
yes, yeah.
That's the greatest crime. Second greatest crime is invading a country. And it's like every time they talk about it, it's like Russia has done this great evil of marching into a place that was theirs until the 50s. That has been full of ethnic Russians in the 1850s. They almost had Kiev in the first 2 weeks, and then the forces just turned around. It's just
Yes.
like the great evil of marching into a country that we have been soft colonializing by sending weaponry and slowly pushing NATO in there. But and I'm not a pro-Russia guy. I just understand that, yeah, if you push NATO to Russia's borders and you're constantly Russia war hawking, Putin's going to look at it and it's going to be like, I need a fucking buffer zone.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And I also just think that we,
Real politics here.
as a culture, you know, the whole Western culture, we just need really to, again, bring back just the idea that we have to be okay with strong men. It's like strong men in the world just do things, they conquer things. And we really just have to be fucking okay with that. I'm sorry. Just that is what strong men do. They're going to take what they want. You know, they're going to just start a war if somebody pisses them off. But like all this freak out, like, oh my gosh, he's a tyrant. He's a dictator. He's a dictator. He's this and that. It's like, fuck. You know, just that is the way of the world, because we are so pussified. Just imagine what would happen if the U.S. stopped funding NATO and then just left Europe just to be. So defend yourself, do whatever you want to. We're just going to let you be.
The Jupiterian President Macron will save them.
Yes. Whoever has a strong man there is just going to start taking over shit. And I was like, good, let it be. Just fucking let things be. And it's like the older I get and the more I experience human beings, it is like that is where I'm kind of at in reality right now. Just let things be. If you can then fucking do it. Right?
You can
If
just do
you
things.
can't conquer, if you can beat somebody, if you can do whatever, then fucking do it. And when you do it, annihilate them. Whatever it may be, whether it's like running a country, whether it's like running a business, whether it's a family, you're strong enough to do it. You can, you want whatever that person, that thing, that entity has, and you have the strength to fucking do it, then fucking just do it. Just stop with all the pussyfooting, because everything has become so pussified that it's killing everything. And just to go back like to Aristotle's war, we just need to go to the other way for a little bit. We just need to allow the strong people to flex, and then maybe we could get back to a normal, moderate state of reality. But the way that it is right now, that everything has been so fucking pussified, we just need to allow this shit to happen. Just allow it to happen. And when you look at a lot of the like Old Testament biblical stories, say it again.
I was gonna say, men need to start acting like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 70s, just taking shit, just doing shit, just being awesome.
Yes, yeah. just start doing shit, because if we don't, we're never gonna like get past all this bullshit. I think a lot of the bullshit just is derived both from trying to make women masculine, but it's also trying to make men emasculated or make them infantile. Like a lot of the pussified men really aren't pussies because they're, a lot of it just because they listen to women, for one thing, but I think also just a lot of it just because they're acting more like a child, and it's like, you just, as a culture, and by culture I don't just mean the US, I just mean like the entire Western world, there just needs to again be just the allowance of things like Charlemagne to exist. There needs to be the allowance of a lot of the destruction really to happen, people to die, people to fight, because I really do think that without that, we're never going to fully get out of the mess that modernity brought to the Western world. We can't fully get out of it until there is just the allowance of destruction through strong men conquering things and getting what they want out of this world. And I think we've just eliminated that. We eliminated that in a micro level, just socially, that is really viewed as negative. Is, if you're in your community and you're just taking what you want because you can, right? You're taking the amount of pussy that you want because you can, or the amount of money because you can. That's just viewed as someone misbehaving in a micro level in a certain community. And the macro level is the same thing. You see someone like Putin, and automatically you just demonize it, and it's just, it's tiresome. It's like, fuck, just let him take what he can. If Ukraine is victorious in a small piece of land, and that, just let that be. If that's all that they end up taking, if that's all they could end up defending, we kind of just need to allow the chips fall, as they may, and just stop trying to control everything by demonizing and trying to eradicate strength out of every civilization. I think it's bullshit. I do think that in the end will be our destruction of the entire West, not just the U.S. The West will fall, because what's going to happen? What's going to happen with no NATO when someone tries to take over France? You think they could hold out? Takes over Germany. Look how much pussies Germany becomes since World War II. They're pathetic. It's horrible. It's just everything about it. Anyways,
what would you guys say is the? Go ahead, Zay.
No, I was just gonna say that I'm sick of Europeans that live under Pax Americana and forgotten that their entire history is fighting each other every 10 years, and that they haven't had a war since the 40s because we have military bases in every one of their fucking countries and been paying for their defense budget for 60, 70 years. Like, grow the fuck up, guys. I hope we pull out of your countries and you plunge yourselves into a war within a week because you fucking need it.
We need 100 years war, the sequel. We just need a good 100 years war. Let France and New Spanish Armada.
Boogaloo.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you. So what do you think is the leading cause of this, longhouse culture we live in today? Is it? I would say it's porn. It's like the number one cause of that. But what else would you guys say it is?
Like, you said Poland?
No, that's a big cause.
Poland is behind the
Yes,
feminization.
Poland is behind everything. No, porn. I would say porn is one of the leading causes, like the pussification of men.
Okay.
What else would you say there is though besides this porn? Women being in the workplace would be another one.
HR departments everywhere.
Yeah. I think porn is a big part of it. I think that it's, I think there's something to some of the ideas that many of the conspiracy theorists present that I don't think is as coordinated as they want to make it seem. Like there's these hidden Jews that control everything. I don't necessarily think it's that coordinated, but I do think that there is a general ethos that many people have began to adopt, not just porn, but I think porn is an example of it, but it's just that it's comfortable. I think it's just the comfort that you get from not having to kill an animal to eat is something that that's very enticing to people, right? Like you don't have to, there's a lot of like poor people that sometimes I encounter. The one thing I notice about poor people is that I think at the end of the day, they want to bitch about their job all the time, but simultaneously they don't want to do what is necessary to not be poor. And really why? I think a lot of it is because they live in apartments. Their landlord, if their electricity, something happens to their electricity, their landlord is going to fix it. I remember back when I lived in an apartment many years ago, like the broke down, and then the landlord just gave us another fridge because it was part of the furnishing in the apartment. And I think it's that. I think it's just a certain level of comfort that when you try to disrupt it, you've never prepared anybody really to act without that. We just wouldn't really know what to do as a society. So it's like we created all this technology to bring more comfort, including dishwashers, including washing machines, all these little things. And it's like once you have done that, it triggered something, I think, in our brain to no longer really seek anything beyond comfort. Like everything is always geared towards that. Because really, once you get outside of that, say it again.
I would say the peak demonstration of that comfort ruining the survival mechanism of ruining masculinity is WALL-E. Disney's Pixar's WALL-E.
WALL-E, yes, yeah. And I think that is what they're presenting. So I don't think it's just. Yes. Yeah, I don't think it's just like a bunch of nefarious Jews. I think they did play a huge part of it, obviously. But I think it's also just ourselves. Is that life is so comfortable to the point that it has made us nearly anti-human, and
yes,
and we just don't want to really give that up. We just don't, and that's the majority.
Well, one of the things I've been thinking about a lot recently was Jesus in the Bible said it would be easier for a poor man to get into heaven than a rich man. Easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than.
Oh right, yeah.
And I would think about that, like, was every technological advancement would technically richer? Because how do you define wits? I would say the best way to define wits is mass resources, or it's the ability to offshore your label. Your wits when you can offshore your label, and all the technological advances have made us all basically richer than everybody was back then. So it's just because wits the capacity for sin is higher. And so the faster technology accelerates, the faster the more decay would be, because we're becoming lazier and lazier. It's every technological advancement.
Yes, yeah. And that's the majority of the masses. And I think that's what a lot of people also, I think that maybe they subconsciously realize that. I think that's why many people stay. Like when I say use the word poor, I just mean people that are just working a menial job and living in apartments and stuff. I think the reason why the majority of people, but I think the reason why a lot of people stay in that position in life is because you're actually more, I don't want to say the word free, but you're more licentious when you don't have any other responsibilities. You really are. Like, I've been, my parents were illegal immigrants, both extremely poor in my life, and at least pretty well-to-do. Right now, I wouldn't say rich. I would say millionaires are rich, but like at least $500,000 dollars is the kind of money that I bring in. And so, so living that kind of distinction in life, I would say the moments that I was much more poor, only making like $40,000 a year, were extremely more comfortable, right? I mean, life was just much easier. Really, it is. You go to work, you work 8 hours, maybe overtime 10 hours, and then you get to like have 2 days off, sometimes 1 day off, but you get 2 days off. And when you leave work, you pretty much can leave work, right? It doesn't follow you. You could do other things. It's not always there. It's not always present. And then, like I said, you live in an apartment and things go bad. You have people to call for them just to fix it for you. It's like the more freedom you have, it always gets coupled with responsibility. And I think people kind of intuit that, right? The first time you buy a house is really the first time you realize, holy shit, this is expensive. I'm now tied to this. And I have to literally do everything, like everything you could imagine that has to be done. It's now on you. And so with that increase of freedom, that you're no longer just a renter, but you are an owner, you own this piece of property, also couples with it an extreme amount of responsibility. That can't be freedom without responsibility. The most free person is the person who is also simultaneously more responsible for more things and more people than anybody else. And we know this even growing up. When you're 5 years old, you're taken care of by your mom, by your dad. You don't have to worry about bills. They're responsible for your food. And so you're the most free. You're 5 years old. You're fucking running around. You could run around naked and you go, and just to go crazy. You go to your brothers. You could punch them in the face. You could do so many just crazy things, Yes. You're 3 years old. You can shit on the floor. Dog, like you are the most. I mean, you really are just free. And then you're a teenager, you're still fucking free. You could go fuck, you could do this, you could do that. You have like zero consequences for your actions. You don't even go to jail. You go to juvie, or your parents get in trouble. Like you really are, you're free, right? You could do whatever. You're licentious in a way. Like you have the license to exist in accordance to your like desires. And then you become an adult, and then you get a job for time. Technically, you are more free, but now it's coupled with a responsibility. Okay, now you have your own car, and then you get your own place, and you are more free than when you're 5-year-old. Because if your mom gets pissed at you, or your dad gets pissed at you for doing something, they beat the shit out of you, or they ground you if you have soft parents. Or you get a talking to, like, now, Johnny, don't do that, or whatever. But so you're a little more free when you got your own place and you can buy your own food, but then you're responsible for more things. And that just it just grows exponentially. If you get married and now you have kids, and then you buy a house. Okay, now you're the man of the house. You own things, but guess what? Now that bitch, now you have to feed all the time. Those little fucking demons, you have to feed all the time, and you have to keep a roof in their head now. And everything is on you. You lose your job. You gotta find another job immediately. You gotta sacrifice everything. Now you gotta work 2 fucking jobs. And so it's like the more free you are, the more responsibility you have. You look at somebody like the president of the US, yeah, they probably could commit crimes, get away with it. They're free. They have more freedom, but now for everybody, you're responsible for the country, you're responsible for the economy, you're responsible for everything. And so freedom always couples itself with responsibility. The more and more the freedom you get, the more responsibility you do end up having. I think we tend to interplay between the idea of freedom and licentiousness.
Mm-hmm. I would just add to that maturity does not breed responsibility. Responsibility breeds maturity. And so when you have no responsibility, you can be immature. But the more responsibility you have, the more maturity is thrust upon you. And so it's never people say all the time, like, "Oh, I'm not mature enough for kids." Like, you're never going to be. You have to, the responsibility matures you, not the other way around.
No. And
so because people don't have any responsibilities, they have no maturity.
I'm still not. I'm not mature enough to have kids now. I got fucking 9 of them, and I'm still not mature. I mean, yeah. It's like
9 is such an insane number.
I
Every
can
time you say
control
9,
myself
I'm just
every
like,
day not to punch somebody in the fucking face. Yeah.
No, man, it's this thing that people always do, where when they want to put something off, they're just like, "Oh, I'm not this, I'm not that." Like, "Oh, I don't. We don't have enough money to get married. We don't have enough money to have kids." And you look at poor people that
Yes, yeah.
have 20 kids, and it's like they did not give a shit. You're looking for excuses because you're afraid,
mhm.
and they'll do this with everything. They'll do
Yeah.
this with anything they want to work on. Like, "Oh, I would, but actually, I'm not feeling." It's like, so they won't have kids. They won't talk to a bitch. They won't get that job interview. They won't answer a fucking phone call. Really drives me insane when they
Yes.
can't order their
Dude.
own food.
The
Yeah, they
Zoomer,
died.
the
I
Zoomer
need
feel of phone calls is
Order my
insane.
food for me. Goth mommy GF, please order me food. And tell them
This
they
is-
put pickles on my burger when I ask no
This is
pickles.
the Zendaya effect. Okay, this is why so many Zoomer men love Zendaya. Because she's a strong woman who would say, "Sorry, he ordered no pickles."
I hate
Because
that.
they're
I
so
hate that so much.
pathetic.
If you as a man, you're not ordering for your girl at the restaurant, what the fuck are you doing? Kill
Mhm.
yourself. You have failed.
Yes. Yeah.
Balls may be there, but you are a eunuch. Your woman
Yes.
has ordered for you, and
Yes.
even
Exactly.
like one time, my last ex ordered for me just because the waitress was Spanish and my Spanish is atrocious, but she was Venezuelan, so it was just like that happened naturally. But I was still looking. I was like, "Ugh, why'd you do that? Why the fuck did you do that? I can order fucking food. Fucking do that. Like, fuck you.
Yeah,
fuck
and so I really do think it's that comfort. I do think it's that comfort that really has pussified everybody, and really, I don't know whether it could get around that, except for what I said, except if you allow destruction to happen, and then I think that's the only way that it really could in the end of the day, when you allow people to that really has overcome all of that like comfort and pussified reality, begin wanting just to take things. And without that, we can never really get out of this rut because it is far too comfortable. Life is way too comfortable. Even for the people who take risks in life, it is far more comfortable than it really needs to be. We need more discomfort in our life, and I think it's crazy people. And unfortunately, I am this insane that I revel in the times where it's more uncomfortable. Obviously, I put myself in situations that are uncomfortable all the time. But there's something there for me that I whatever it may be, why God made me that way, I don't fucking know. But I just am. It's like I kind of need that in order to survive, in order to exist in a world. If not, there's no reason to live. Like, why live if you're not uncomfortable? Like I would rather have the discomfort.
This is gonna be a joke only.
Comfort.
What were you going to say?
Well, this is gonna be a joke only Jay will get from old libertarian days. Jeremy's existence disproves Robert's Nozak happy machine. Do you remember this? No?
I've been like Men in Black mind wiped with anything.
Oh, good. Lucky
libertarian.
you.
I know.
Lucky you.
We all need this.
Can you explain it? Can you explain it?
So Robert Nozak had this. I'm pretty sure it's Robert Nozak, and I'm blanking on the exact details of it. But basically, the argument was, if you create a machine for somebody that they could sit down into, and every single one of their physical needs would be satiated, would always be happy, they would never suffer, and they would just live perfect happiness until the day they died. Everyone would get in it, and no one wanted to get out of it. And the joke was Jeremy's existence disproves that because you would
I
hate
get
that.
it. Yeah, I kind of do.
And I feel you. Like we were talking about earlier, when you broke your ribs and the next day you were back at work. I was on the couch for a month after I broke my arm for the first month because like moving was painful because like, it was so disconnected. There was literally no piece of bone that was still in place.
Yeah. What is pain? Broken bones are fucking painful. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm not going to deny that. I didn't really sleep. Like I would sit down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, dude, the sleeping was terrible. And like the first night I woke up, someone like my dad brought food to me. He left one of the chairs out of place that I have to walk past to get to the bathroom. And my arm just hit the
Ooh.
3 a.m. First day out of the hospital, arm just hits the thing. But sitting on a couch and doing nothing for a month when I was physically active, when I was working, when I had other shit to do, was one of the worst experiences of my life. Because it's like some people love that.
Oh
shit.
yeah,
they
that
want
would
to
be.
have a life where they just sit on a couch, and they're never going to be fulfilled. They're never going to have a truly happy life because they have nothing to suffer for. That's why so many people gravitate towards the gym, because they give you something to suffer for. Long-term goal to work towards.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that.
Many families,
or they go hiking if they're
families,
white,
are pathetic.
Yeah.
Guys who hit 60 with no kids are pathetic.
Yes.
They are pathetic people. They always are 100% of the time.
Exactly. I agree. Yes. Yeah. And for me, it's just been that way. And I think like too hippy dippy ish, but I think the more that I've encountered struggles in life, the more I do end up learning about some of the intrinsic qualities that's built within inside of me, right? Because it really is those, when shit happens, really is when you realize what your limitation, or at least what you used to think your limitations were. Either you're going to go past that limitation, surpass the limit, or you're just going to fucking die. Right? I don't mean literally. In some cases it would be literally die, but other cases would be like impoverished. Oh fuck! Sorry, that phone is buzzing. Give me 1 second.
That's fine.
No problem. So I don't think he paused the recording, but you probably edited this out. So if you want to drop some N-bombs right now, he has to edit out later.
Oh, dude, the keynote jokes have changed from rape to
Yeah, sorry about that. I turned the ringer off, but it went to the voicemail. But anyways, yeah, and it's one of those things that it is through like those difficult times where I've come to realize certain things about myself, especially during the cancellation, because I would say that was probably the most stress I've ever had in my life. Happened, I nearly lost like the house. I nearly lost everything because and I probably didn't say too much in the podcast that went out. There was an episode we recorded when Caleb was here that Grant is still holding hostage, which I'm kind of annoyed at. But in that episode I talked about it, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit right now. And so in the cancellation, I didn't let my family know at all. I didn't tell anybody, right? But obviously I couldn't afford much because I lost my job. So I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? I got my last paycheck. The state had a little bit of a retirement thing that I kind of took money from. And so I just saw how much money I really had, right? And so I only had a roughly $30,000. And so I looked at it, I was like, okay, well, what can I do? Maybe I could pay mortgage for an X amount of months up front so that I could maybe try to look for another job or whatever. But I was like, no, that's a pussy move for one thing. I'm not going to do that. And so I took that money, and that's when I opened up the food truck. So I was like, okay, I have this much money. I looked around and I found a used food truck. So I think I could do that. And I had to learn everything because I didn't really know much about getting it licensed by the state and everything, and making sure that it passes code. And so I had to learn plumbing because I did plumbing in it. It was a food trailer. But anyways, I had a truck that can pull it. So I learned how to do the plumbing in there. I did all of that. I did some of the electrical work in there. I had to put a gas line. I virtually did everything. Everybody was telling me that it's going to take me a year to do it. I did it in a fucking month. But I would wake up every morning at 6 a.m. I would wake up and I would work on it, right? And I would work on it every fucking day. And I would work on it for virtually most of the day until about midnight. And then I'll go to sleep and then wake up at 6 a.m. again. And I had to put this hood, but like, if you ever had to lift up a hood vent, that thing weighs about 500 pounds. It was hard. All right. It was one of the most difficult things because, like, basically I had to lift a little bit. I put a little brick underneath it and then lift another side and put a brick there. And I had to do that over and over again until it reached like the height that it needs to be for the ceiling to put the exhaust hood. That took hours just to lift that thing up to hours. But anyways, I had to cut that son of a bitch in half and also just like fuse it together. So, but you know, I did all that work, and then, you know, we went out on our first our first gig to do an event, and it was a disaster, right? It was horrible. I was like, holy fuck. I put all my money in there, and it was just, it just went bad for many reasons. And then, you know, I came back home. I was like, yeah, that was a nightmare. That was bad. I don't know how we're going to do this, but I'm going to have to do it. Right. And at that point, I didn't pay mortgage for over 3 months. I got a letter in the mail that said it's going to be foreclosed on and everything. Still not telling anybody. The gas line was about to be shut off. I basically was a week out from just being homeless with 9 kids. And so I was like, shit, man. And here in Alaska, there's a shit ton of pot shops. Caleb can tell you how many pot shops there are. And so I asked them, hey, can I park outside of your pot shop to I have this new food truck, and that I really just want to sell it here. And then these people said, oh yeah, sure, why not? You know, they're pretty awesome. And so at that point, I had $40 left. So that $40 and in everything, just $40, right? I took that $40. I bought the last piece of the meats that I could get because I make the doner kebabs and everything. But anyways, I took the last $40. I bought the things I needed, like the veggies, the meat, and everything, to sell for that day. And if I sell out, I sell out. That's what it is. And right before that happened, you know, we did an entire rosary. I was like, okay, this is it. You know, if this fails, I'm fucked. You know, the house will be foreclosed on and everything, or whatever. So, you know, that was extremely intense for me. And then all these fucking potheads started coming. You know, they were smelling the smell from the food truck. Like, oh man, this is pretty awesome. And these potheads started coming. And then that day, you know, I took that last $40 and I made $600. I was like, fuck yeah, right?
Oh,
so the next day happened. I was like, you know, I'll take $40 again and rebuy the meat. I parked in the same place. And then I made like $800. And it was like, fuck yeah. And it just never stopped from there. Right. It stopped to the point that now I bought my own restaurant and everything. But that stress that I had, and knowing that whatever I do, failure is really not an option, but I do have to risk it all for that, was the most stressful point probably my entire life. Because, you know, when you have kids, you feel you're going to be so guilty if you can't provide for them. And it was just one of those things that I basically pushed beyond any limitations that I think I ever had. But it also made me realize the kind of things that really I could then keep on doing, right? And then you start growing more, and you start in a way taking more risks with other things, and just keep on winning. And I really think that if you don't have the circumstances to put you in that kind of extremely uncomfortable, extremely stressful position in your life ever, I truly think for at least men, it is impossible to really know what your potential is. You can't really actualize the potential unless shit hits the fan in your life. And so either we have to willfully do it on our own, or hope to God that he gives you opportunities to really reach that kind of potential in your life, because you really wouldn't know. There's no way that if you told me 2 years ago that I could be nearly broke and not have anything to to be able to survive, that you could take a certain amount of money and then build an entire business that at least now makes over $500,000 within the span of a year. I don't think that I would have believed that I could do that. there's no way that I could believe I could do that, because I'll be like, well, no, it might take 5 years, it might do whatever, or I might not have the knowledge or whatever to do that. But it really, that to me is what I mean, that we need to allow strength to really just happen, both in a micro level and a macro level, because that really is the only way things can be moved forward. It is by conquering things, is by, even if it's your individual fears, even if it's whatever, it's that you have to fight, and you have to take the thing that you want. You see something and just fucking take it. And yeah, it's something that I think every man in their life, no matter how big the struggle is, needs to have in order for any kind of growth to happen for them individually, and I think more so societally. But anyways, that's just kind of a tangent that I went in.
I'm always, every time you tell me that story, I'm always amazed. Like, damn.
Yeah, no, that is really like.
Yes, yeah.
My family's gone through like a really rough patch this last year economically with the family business that we have. It was just everything that could go wrong went wrong. Our website had practically stopped working. Our phone line was down for like over a month, and nobody really knew why the phone wasn't ringing. It was just like compounding problem, permitting, keeping everything backed up when we needed to open jobs and get money in. And it was just, it was this horrible thing of like just trying to keep everything afloat, trying to close new contracts just to keep things moving, having to put groceries on credit because there was just no way of like actually having the funds up front, and having to keep balancing, playing around with like just getting at least a little bit over the minimum for the payment, and still in the red for the credit. Like it's been a few months. It's a horrible game of catch up. And these are the moments that they shape you, and they shape how you're going to respond to something. For me, it was like, okay, yeah, I definitely need to get a different fucking job, because this is dog shit. But
Exactly.
Really a dog shit job. But people need that, and I think we're gonna see more of that, because technology has made things very comfortable. But at the same time, for young men, everything is so prospectless right now, where the options are just so dry, and you can send out 100 job applications, and HR departments will just automatically flag them for do not respond for no fucking reason.
I had about 40 job applications up in Alaska before I called it quit and had to go home. I had 40 job applications.
40, damn.
I got beat out for a job working at a gas station deli counter by a trans black dude.
Yeah. It's coming out like HR departments that are supposed to be getting job interviews are just not answering emails. They'll like have it pile up in the hundreds and nothing happens. And it's a radicalizing moment where young men are looking at this and it's like, well, fuck, how am I supposed to be like literally any man that's come before me when there's not a single fucking opportunity left? They're getting passed up for colleges, they're getting passed up for jobs, they're getting passed up for dating, they're getting passed up for everything. Because it's not the black pill, and it's not that shit, but it's like, yeah, every girl you want to date has like 10,000 Instagram followers. They're all saying they want to lick her asshole while she farts on them. So, like, her perception of male attention is completely distorted from reality. You're not getting into college because, fuck, if David Chong Ching Ding Dong with a fucking 4.0 can't get in, you're not getting in over Tyrone and Juan and Abdul and Lilith the trans whatever.
And don't forget all the Indians out getting green cards.
And you're not getting a job. You know, maybe if you're lucky, the HR department of the Shell 3 hours away from your home is going to get back to you. So yeah, and then at the same time, you have every major institution is telling you you're a piece of shit, and you should fucking kill yourself and never have children. It's really a radicalizing point.
I fully get why young men go down the BAP rabbit hole. I get that. It makes so much sense.
It makes sense when you look at how shit everything is. Like, yeah, this is turning into a nexus point for a change that's going to come, because it has just become untenable for the people that generally carry a comfortable civilization and allow it to continue being comfortable. They have been pushed out by people who cannot maintain a comfortable civilization, and now it's collapsing because those people can't maintain it because you put in trannies and like
Bioluminescence.
uneducated blacks and foreigners into key positions, and then they're wondering why everything's going to shit. Why
Yes.
the airplanes are fucking crashing left and right. Why everything's blowing up. It's like, yeah.
I know. There's another one in Pennsylvania today.
Again, it's jeez.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, I'm not flying for a few years. I won't be flying anywhere.
And this is the point. Like, look, before they were boasting about that all-female crew that crashed into a fucking Black Hawk, and then the Black Hawk was also no, the female crew was upside down. The Black Hawk had like a woman flying for the first time ever.
Women have just now learned how to drive. It was
Yeah, it was a black
airplane.
woman.
That's not fair.
And it's just, you look at this shit, and then you look at the positions that men would have filled, and young men would have filled even 20 years ago, but they're looking at literally civilization collapsing around us, and then seeing like, oh, but I can't get a fucking job anywhere. All right, I guess I'll vote for Hitler. Like,
Yeah.
it's what,
Lord willing.
literally, how else does this end? How else does this end?
Yeah, that's true.
No, actually, I want to bring this up real quick, Sammy, because I think we're hitting the hard out soon. I think I don't know what I don't know what time it is because of the whole time change thing.
10:42 p.m. for us.
Okay, so we're ending up near your hard out, aren't we, Jay?
I got 18 more minutes.
Okay, so last thing I want to ask Jeremy on the whole point earlier about technology making everyone more like senseless and sinful. The whole AI robot, like Tesla helpers things. Have you seen those advertised yet?
Mhm. Yeah, I
What do
have.
you
Yeah,
think?
yeah.
That's gonna be taking it to the next level. If you don't even have to do anything, everyone can get a.
You know they're going to be used for sex.
Oh,
That's-
immediately.
That's what I was thinking. Like, is somebody trying to fuck them already? Because they don't
I
look
mean-
like they're very good for that yet.
Dude, Indians are making them. You know they're trying.
Oh god.
Like they're being made in India. Of course they're being
we
fucked.
will we can fix the Indian problem with sex bots. Like that will just population decrease overnight.
Elon Musk, please save us. Send the Tesla robots to India. You can save us, Elon.
Just said you put them in a wig. You put like a Gustave Doré painting on their face or something. All the Indians are like, "Hello, ma'am. Open, Bob. Oh, you are so beautiful. Open. Let me lick vagine. Let me lick flower. Open, Bob." And then they just rape the robot and get electrocuted to death.
Sounds beautiful. Beautiful.
Your favorite people, man. Caleb's favorite people is the Indians.
Like, there's a rare species of dolphin that has a vagina very similar to humans, and it's getting raped to extinction in Pakistan.
What the fuck is you just? Hold on, dead ass.
Is it?
I'm looking this up right now.
a
Dolphin
species of
rape
dolphin
Pakistan.
that is very anatomically similar to the human vagina, and it's getting raped to extinction in Pakistan.
Oh my
How
god!
did he
I'm
even
seeing-
find that out?
I'm seeing the videos and pictures now. Holy shit!
It's real.
Oh my
And
god! We have to
they
stop
raped-
them.
They raped a monitor lizard to death. A monitor lizard. How do you rape that thing? Like,
I'm looking up
people-
monitor lizard.
All right, so Jeremy, I need your take on something. I need your take.
Oh yeah! How the fuck do they do that?
How do you rape? So people keep telling me that animals their souls extinguish upon death, but I have two counterpoints for this. So then, why did Saint Francis of Assisi preach the gospel to the animals? And then number two, how come the Chinese and Indians aren't sold?
If it wasn't for the Vatican saying they have souls, I would fully believe the Indians and Han Chinese don't have souls.
It's
They
very hard to
evolved
believe.
like this people. Thank God for the Vatican. Otherwise, I would not believe they're weird people.
When
They're
you
more
see-
like fists.
when you see stories that rats will try to save dying rats, and then you see videos of Chinese people just walking around a dying child in the streets, and it's like, okay, so my dog doesn't go to heaven, but Xi Jinping will, maybe, possibly. 'Cause this isn't, oh, Hitler will go to heaven, but a Jew that didn't believe in Jesus won't. Like, no, that's not my fucking argument. Maybe Xi can go to heaven, but if the Chinese can get there, then I think my dog can too.
Yes.
So on the whole St. Thomas's argument about animals not being in heaven. I think he's right, but he's artistically missing the point. And I love St. Thomas, as everyone knows, but I think the question isn't will my dog itself be in heaven. The question is, the question is not will my dog go to heaven. It's will my dog be in heaven. And there's no metaphysical or logical contradiction in the idea of God reconstituting the dog in heaven. Whether you want that or not is a different question. But people aren't really asking if their dog right next to you is going to go to heaven with you. It's going to be, can that dog be up there with me?
And the most autistic part is it's usually a child asking you that. And then you have someone like Haz that comes in and just tells them, no, it's dead. When it's dead, it's dead. You idiot. It can't go to heaven. It's dead. As you tell a 5-year-old that's asking you like about their dying dog, they want comfort. And it's just like, it's not even like you said, yeah, of course, God can reconstitute the soul of the animal in heaven. So you're not even lying. You just tell them, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
And you're telling a kid, it's like,
it's just anyone answering that question is kind of artistically missing the point when they say no. It's like that's not really the question being asked.
so
And in St. Thomas's defense, I don't think he planned for that to be like the most argued about thing in the Summa when he wrote it down. He's like, all these incredible arguments, the dogs won't be in heaven is the most argued about thing online. I don't think he saw that happening.
Yes. 1,000 years later, people are still talking about this.
Because St. Thomas just did not understand the bond between a man and his dog.
Yeah.
Then what's your take on the dog in heaven?
He was a little fruity. You know, he resisted it enough to be in heaven, but he was a little fruity, you know? Chased the prostitute with a hot iron.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, you know, he was a little fruity. He didn't understand truly the...
Either fruity or so autistic that he was asexual. Either way. There has to have been something weird about somebody that...
No, I kid. I saw
Can't even
we were
deny
in
it,
the Star Lounge. Caleb and I were checking out the same women. He's horny. He just doesn't do anything about it.
I don't like talking to him.
All right, I
It's
think we
boring.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to really end the podcast. It's getting a little bit late.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right, man. Well, this was a nice return to Culture Gentiles, and
Good time.
I'm going to start recording more on a weekly basis, and hopefully people can enjoy it without Grant. We just got to push him a little bit, right?
Yeah.
We just got to keep, saying, hey, the episodes are out. People want to hear you.
It's his vocation. He's denying God's call.
You know a little bit about that, right?
There he is. Yes, he is. Yeah.
Not denying it, I'm delaying it, Caleb. There's a difference. Because I am ready spiritually.
Yeah, I think I really wanted the. I really wanted the first episode just to be fun like this. It's good. I might cover some more topics in the later episodes, but hopefully, people got to enjoy, Caleb and Jay. Yeah, I mean, it's always fun with you guys. All right, so I guess this is the end. See ya.
This is the end.